Okay, so this is a true story. Last week, I think it was Friday, I was at the beach and I got talking to these people. They were Brits and they'd come over to Finland to visit their English son who was getting married to a Finnish girl. And this guy, their son, is some sort of a. I'm not going to dox any of them and say anything too sensitive that could identify them, but let's say that he was a scientist and a very well paid one doing something extremely specialised and important. And his Finnish wife to be is also a scientist. So, two pretty skillful people that any society would want. Very, very important people. And then they're not doctors either. They do something far more important than that. Anyway, so according to their parents, or his parents rather, that I was talking to, they had investigated the possibility that they might move to the UK. At the moment, he's got a residence permit here in Finland for 5 years based on his employment. And once he gets married here, by this time he will already be married. He'll have no problems at all in terms of extending his residence permit. So anyway, I was talking to them about this. They'd done some investigation about the possibility of his Finnish wife moving over to England and them living there as a family. And basically, this guy basically said it's very, 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 very hard now for a Finnish national to move over to the UK, even if they're married to a Brit. And we also discussed the irony, the fact that, because he did mention something, we did laugh and we said, well, maybe we could put her on a boat, a rubber boat, at in Boulogne or or Calais or whatever, and float her over, And basically, for people in that position, you don't just get a right to reside; you also get put up at a 4-star hotel, and you get some spending money and whatever. So that's just. So we basically have the UK government treating people very, very differently according to their skin colour and nationality. So for a milky white Finn, it's very, very different, very, very hard, very, very hard. And but on the other hand, if you're from Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, somewhere like that, no problem at all. So there's a word for that, isn't there? Or a phrase, and it's certainly not. I know some people might call that white privilege. I'm not sure that I would want to go and live in Britain anymore. But being serious, what it proves to me is the organisation that's most responsible for let's use the word racism is actually the government. 9 times out of 10, it's the government that practices racial discrimination, and the governments do that for political reasons. They part of their divide and rule tactics. They tell one group of people that they're being oppressed by another group of people, and please vote for us, and we'll steal some of their money off them through taxation and then give it to you. But that's definitely what's happening here in Finland. Is what I heard about Britain from living in Finland from these English people is that it's very, very difficult for white Europeans to come and live and work in England. And I was quite surprised about that, I must admit. But yeah, that's it, a true story. And the other thing, actually, just whilst I'm thinking about it, the consequences of this sort of discriminatory policy are going to be pretty bad for Britain. In that, this Finnish woman, she would pay a hell of a lot more taxation into the system than she would ever receive back in terms of welfare. So this kind of discriminatory immigration policy that the UK government's currently adopting is going to further damage the government's own finances. You know, they're going to be increasing their taxation on people, you know, to try to desperately maintain the public services that they have, because it's just, they're going to be importing more people who need welfare, and they'll be importing fewer people who are capable of earning money to pay the taxes.